watching the tail end of the Sotheby's New York important watches take a minute, and we have a beautiful FPGA resonance on the screen.
Resonance.
So while I get the stream set up, we can just watch.
Sotheby's, huh? Why do they all choose to do it this week? Like, why is it everybody? Is it like this is the normal summer drum up, or
Yeah, there's the seasons, So this is New York season. A few months ago was Geneva,
okay?
and they just. I'm sure there's a reason, but traditionally they all kind of do it one after the other. Will Phillips holding the weekend, Christie's was Monday, and today is Sotheby's. Let me tell the people on Instagram what we're doing.
But we still think, we're still saying that Phillips is the best auction. Like that, we're still
Correct, correct.
okay. All right, I like that. I'm with you on that. Oh, what? What's that? What am I missing out on? Are you watching? Are you watching reels on the live, CQ?
No,
How
no, I'm
dare
trying to set
you?
up the. I'm trying to
I'm
find my
joking. I'm
YouTube.
joking. I know as soon as you jump into Instagram, they want to show you reels. They want to take over your timeline. But we don't let them do
Yeah.
that. We
So,
don't let them do that here.
okay, so we are live.
Yes, we are. I've been watching us for the last 2 minutes, and people are slowly
Ooh, two
trickling
hundred
in.
thousand. This is what this is going for.
Whoa, wait. How can you tell? See, I liked how on
This is a very
Christie's.
weird layout. Yeah, this
Okay.
layout is very hard.
What did it hammer for? Did I miss it? Did it go for 200?
200,000 all in, 254,000 for that resonance,
Is that including the hammer, the hammer premium?
including the premium watch.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
All right, the people on Instagram know. Hope everybody's well. We got a beautiful rose gold rose dial optimum. It's at 180,000. This is not the best layout at all.
Uh, is there?
To be honest
I
with
might
you.
have a dumb question for you, but maybe if you make these screens smaller, like your website smaller, we can see a little bit more.
Well,
Even
no. So the issue is that like where she
like the
is in the
zoom.
corner.
Oh yeah, that doesn't change anything. Wow, that's
Yeah,
just not
usually they're in the
well
center.
done.
All right, we only got a few more lots. I just wanted to watch along since four more lots left. Let's see if this Richard Mille has steam. Richard Mille has not been doing well
I mean,
this auction
this
weekend
isn't exactly the nicest looking Richard Mille. I'm not a fan of the green ceramic. Is that
at
green?
all. It is
I'm just like,
green and
when did
white
ceramic
quartz
become a
TPT.
thing? Who was the first
Hublot.
like Hublot, right? That's what I thought. So Hublot did ceramic, and then AP made ceramic and said, "Hey, everything's over 200,000 if we do it.
Exactly.
You can't make it up."
Yeah, and the RM they do a little bit of ceramic, but they do their own thing. So this is
Their own kind of
quartz
case, right? Yeah.
TPT. Yeah, it's all
What's
space
TPT
age
stand for?
technology.
Is that like
I
just
don't,
like the compound that they're using? It's like a different, but isn't the same thing with
exactly.
Hublot? Wasn't Hublot making these like specific compounds for like their different cases? And like that's why they have like
Yes.
the hidden gold and it's like, oh God. It's just more bronze, bro. Like,
This RM is at 180,000 hammer right now.
okay, so it's wait, what was the up and down on it? 400, 200 to 400. So
I can't. I don't even know where's the.
I think it's on the left. On the left.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
200,000 to 400,000. So under the estimate on this RM.
It's sold? Not yet, right?
Yeah, they just
It's
hammered at 180, 228 all in. Oh, this is a nice Bubba. Bubba Watson Asia exclusive. I love this watch.
what's going on, Josh? Ho? How you doing?
What's happening, Josh? Happy Tuesday.
If Wednesday's hump day, what's Tuesday? I always said Tuesday's the worst day of the week because you don't have that
It's the
like
day before the hump.
it's walked into that. I was saying like Monday you had the weekend, so you're a little bit like you're a little relaxed. You can remember Sunday. You can still taste a little bit of Sunday in the back of your mouth. But by Tuesday, you're like in the mixed. You forgot what it's like for to rest. I think Tuesday's the worst day of the week. Joshua said I had those at the Loffen.
Oh, this is my boy Josh from LaFin. Oh, what's up,
Oh,
Josh?
I said
Yeah,
LaFin.
no. So Josh is Josh runs a boutique along Kevin there in LaFin Boutique over in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, nice.
Really awesome
Was
location,
that where
bro.
you guys did the Arnold and Son event?
Exactly. That's where we had the CP Time event, and Josh, he actually helped design that store too. Really good. Me and you got to get out there, bro. I think by the time we get out there, they're gonna have a little cigar spot on the back
You don't have
porch.
to convince me to go to Texas,
No.
bro. I wanted to go to Texas. I've never been.
By the way, this sold for 220,000, which was, I believe, under the
What?
estimate as
The estimate was
well.
400, 800,000 on that, if I
Yeah,
read
exactly.
correctly. Oh my. Okay, stop the
RM
pain,
soft.
CQ. You came here just to make Richard Mille look bad. You see,
No, no.
I'm gonna put it out here. The lives live forever, and I'm gonna let you guys know that Sequan is on a
Don't.
mission to soften the Richard Mille prices. I don't know if he wants to get his own, but he's been on a mission ever since we started these lives to slowly soften the market so he can get his own RM. And you can't tell me otherwise. You really can't.
Wait, I'm confused right now
What happened? What's wrong?
because she's supposed to be a lot 112, which is a $400,000 watch. So she's at who's bidding 26,000.
What's George Daniels? I've never heard of this brand before.
So George Daniels is one of the most important watchmakers in the modern day. What watch is she talking about?
Sequan, why haven't you ever explained to me something about what makes him so important?
So George Daniels was a British watchmaker who kind of he kept evolving chronometry in terms of escapement. So he's the one who developed the quote. What watch was just sold? I'm sorry, something weird just happened there.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
you're a little flustered.
yeah. No, because I don't know what was hammered at 26,000. Not the Richard Mille.
No, clearly not. And it wasn't this
Okay, so
either.
anyways, one of the greatest watchmakers of the last century. He made the coaxial escapement and so many different things. He's a British watchmaker. His watches go for extreme numbers. He made very few watches himself. Roger Smith is his protege and has been continuing the work over in Isle of Man. But just, I can't explain it. It'll take, you know,
Gotcha. So
2
is it like
hours.
the coaxial movement that they use in Omegas? Like, is that
Exactly.
okay?
He developed it. Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good guy.
But very special watch. If you
Definitely.
like independent watchmakers, if you like people who were living not too long ago who had a real impact, George Daniels, is the one who's pushing everybody forward.
When you're
So I
not from Switzerland, I guess you don't get a lot of love.
no, but he does get a lot of love. He does get a lot of love. He just doesn't make that much watches. He didn't make that much watches, and you have to really love horology. You have to really love the art of making watches and that science to really appreciate George Daniels. If you don't care about coaxial escapements and improving accuracy using the most traditional techniques, you're not gonna care about this at all. You're just gonna say this is a boring looking watch. But this probably will easily, it just froze up, but this will easily sail to the high end of the estimate of 800,000. It's already at 400,000.
Interesting. I'm just surprised I've never seen any of these like come across our desks.
No, the only time you'd seen it is when Shani. Shani's a big George Daniels collector. So you'd seen him, in that, but like for
But
sale,
like,
no.
would you say that
These
that's because he owns everything else? So it's like, why not just collect some George Daniels?
No, that's because he truly is somebody who's a student of horology and he really considers important watches. And he's putting together a collection of truly, oh wow, only 450, this one in the middle. He puts together a collection of truly important watches, so that's why he went for George Daniels. 571 all in on that one. All right, we got two more, and then we'll just talk about some watch news of the day. I'm not a fan of these Asprey Daytonas.
What? Uh, I always hear that word Asprey. What does that stand for again?
So
Like, what is
Asprey's a dealer out in the UK, and they're one of the bigger dealers, and a lot of the custom dials, a lot of the
so like
Kanjar dials, the
Bamford
UAE
type of thing?
dials, not no, like real.
Oh,
They were respected right? But now this on the screen is more like Banford. Rolex didn't sanction this. Rolex doesn't like that they do this,
But they
and
don't
that's why
sanction
Rolex ended the
anything
relationship.
anymore, correct? Like they don't sanction
Correct.
Banfords anymore. Like
Exactly correct. They never sanctioned Banford.
they never did.
You know, no. But Asprey was one of the dealers who did like the UAE stamp dials, the Kanjar stamp dials. So historically, they were allowed to alter things. But in this newer generation, Rolex didn't like it, and they ended that relationship with them.
So not the same as a Tiffany stamp. Even though is there
No,
Rolex
no,
Tiffany? Not are there?
no.
Like tip,
Older generation, yes,
but
but
not
this,
now. They don't have
no,
Rolex
no, no,
Daytonas with Tiffany stamp on them or anything.
no, no.
Okay, just confirming. Just confirming.
I said this going for 200,000 to me is just crazy strong.
It's just a gold Daytona. Oh, what is it? The dial. I see
It's a
Asprey on the
purple dial.
dial.
It's a purple dial.
Oh, you know what? If they didn't put a purple background, you'd probably be able to see it better. But like,
Yeah.
I'm on the yellow gold. You can see it clearly on the white gold. Like this photo, you can see. But the yellow gold one, it was not very easy to see that. I actually like this white gold purple dial.
I wish it was factory. If it was factory, I'd love it.
Prefer. So why don't they do that? They did like the beach Daytonas. Why didn't they do a cool purple dial like this?
Maybe one day, but they just don't need to.
And that's the thing. It's like you don't make a large selection of these. These have to be a select few because you don't want a bunch of purple Daytonas. Like I just don't see a bunch of people buying them. Would they do limited maybe?
Maybe if they did like a team run, I forgot which team, but there's a certain team Daytona out there
They gotta do
that
like
looks pretty
a
cool.
Los Angeles with the purple and gold. You know, like gold, like
Ooh,
the Asprey.
LA Lakers watch would be kind
Yeah, yeah.
of fire. I
Get
can
one
see
for
that.
LeBron. You know, get LeBron to
All
push
right, so
it.
I'm just waiting for her to finish this, and then we will look at all the lots. Oh,
This was the most boring
120,000.
auction.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't have that much. Let's just. How do we go back into the? This wasn't as nicely curated as some of the others we've seen. Um, let's just go back here. But let's see what kind of lots they had. What's going on, Chat Vision? Good afternoon. And let's look at some of the lots.
What's going on, D-Raj? How you
Hey,
doing today?
what's up, D-Raj? All right, let's see what went in this auction. So all bids already have their premiums locked in there. We got a nice Ulysse Nardin Sonata for 20 grand. That's a great steal for somebody.
How you doing today, Goldfinger? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Goldfinger. Look at this PAM 395 Radium Air Rose Gold 13970. Nice steal. A lot of robberies
You
happening.
feel that's a steal?
I mean, it's a fair price. Let's not say steal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a
Like,
fair
everything here
price.
is fair price.
All right.
Ooh, IWC Portuguese Mystery Tourbillon, 20,000. I think I sold a couple of
Well,
these.
what's your take on tourbillons being a 12 and not 6?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I
I
feel like
wasn't
it's an
expecting that
eyesore
question
there.
today.
Like I prefer it at 6 more than 12. Like 12, it's actually taking away from the dial, whereas at 6, it's kind of like it's just hanging out there. Like 12, it's actually too much of a focal point to me.
Oh man, you might be right. I've sold one of these before, and like I didn't mind it at 12, but after I wear this for 2 to 3 months, does it bother me? Is a real question, and it
Just
might.
feels like it sticks out more than if you had it at 6, you know, personally.
But at 20 grand, it don't bother me that much.
I mean, there's a reason it's selling for 20 and not 40, and it's because it's at the 12, in my opinion.
I think even if it was at 6.
Yeah, well, yes, it's an IWC, so.
Oh wait, where'd the
Hey,
results go?
Goldfinger's with me. He likes it at 6 as well. I'm in good company. Oh, you
Wait.
skipped over that Chopard LUC. It's kind of
Where's
fire.
the?
What happened?
Oh no, they had the lot number. I guess they're updating the prices, but I wanted to see. I like this LUC.
Yeah, no,
I'll go right back.
it's kind of funny that we were talking about Chopard and everything, and now we're getting a couple iterations of
Oh,
it.
they're making me log in to view results. Okay, wait, let me. do
Oh,
this in a
don't let
separate
them see your
screen.
password.
Yeah, you get. Let me.
That's a decent LUC. I kind of like. Typically, I wouldn't like the contrast of like the black outer rim, but it's a nice watch. I like that watch. It's a nice watch.
Let me just take
Now,
this off
do I
screen.
love it for $20,000? Hmm. I don't
Just
know.
1 second. Let me log in, guys.
Uh-oh.
Actually, let's just do it without the prices.
Richard Mille lower prices is the password? Oh wow. Come on, Saquon, you could do better.
It's Richard Mille fire sale.
Richard Mille fire sales exclamation exclamation.
Oh man, Sotheby's don't mess with me right
Oh man, great television here. So, anyways,
now.
guys, if any of you guys watched the auctions over the last 3 days, any watches that you saw that you were disappointed in the values that they sold for? I'm posing the question to the chat. And also to you, CQ, what was the watch that sold for the least? Like, what was the most alarming sale to you that just sold and you were like, is the world coming to an end?
Well, coming to an end, I don't know, but I'm very interested in what's going on with vintage jewelry pieces.
Hmm.
Vintage Bulgari, I'll pull up from Phillips. That vintage Bulgari Serpenti went for 277,000. It did have a Vacheron inside, but I thought that was a really good result. And there was that other vintage Bulgari piece that looked just ancient, and that went for really good as well. So we're seeing that people are spending money on truly important things or what they find very important. And I think that, Richard Mille not hitting any of the estimates at any of the auctions is very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a tough one. Trap Vision said those auctions were interesting. I enjoyed the coverage. There's an upcoming auction near me at Moyer's Fine Jewelers that I've been invited to. Oh, that's dope, man. Let us know if you snag anything crazy out there. I feel like
Yeah,
Moyer's Fine Jewelers sounds familiar. That name sounds super familiar.
right, it does. And you shouldn't be afraid to pop in to an auction as well, right?
No,
You never know. Some people snag some really, really good deals in a lot of these auctions, so you'd be surprised what you could snag. And
Daraj said he's disappointed by Patek Philippe POP 130 in Hong Kong. What is that? That might have floated over my head. What is he talking about? The POP
oh,
130 in
one
Hong
second.
Kong. Trap Vision, watch auctions are new to me. I've never experienced an auction on that level before. Auctions are interesting, that's for sure. I spent a lot of time watching auctions with like when we would be putting up watches or when we were looking to see what the watches would be selling for. It was always interesting to see how, George and those guys would have all kind of crowd around to see, is the Jordan going to sell for the price we expected for? It's definitely interesting to watch it transpire. Pink on Pink Phillips. Sequan, do you know what he's talking about? I think he's talking about Patek Philippe that was rose gold with a pink salmon dial. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm not
No,
mis.
you're right. I'm sorry. Me and me and Sotheby's are fighting. This is the most horrible system I've ever seen.
I don't
All
think the
right, screw
chat's
it. No
gonna be
more.
too sad if we don't give them that. Like we'll be
Yeah, all
okay.
right. I'm sorry. Screw,
Whoa,
screw Sotheby's. I can't log in to see the results.
it's okay.
Um,
But do you know which one he's speaking of, Sequan? The POP
so
one
he's
three zero.
so he's speaking about the reference 130, which would be this piece here.
Hmm.
And Diraj appreciates a good vintage piece. We've been talking a little bit, and he has very good taste. And I just want to pull up the chat here. Sorry, guys. Sotheby's is not letting us live, but this piece, beautiful, beautiful condition on it.
Hmm.
Not something you'd pay up for or no?
I'm not a big fan of these type of watches, but the price doesn't look. Oh, wow, I just saw the price. Never mind. Hey, it's just not my type of watch. It's a nice watch though.
I agree. All right, I'm gonna try.
Rock Vision said I was blown away to see a Longines fetch over 40K. Well, Longines was the first guys to create the chronograph, right, on a wristwatch. Maybe
Well,
it was the first chronograph on the wristwatch that sold for 40K. Now, which one was it, Sequan? I overheard you guys talking about that yesterday.
there are many brands. I mean, Louis Manet would
No,
jump in.
no,
I
no.
want
I'm
to
sorry. I
say
meant
something, right?
Man, which Longines sold for 40K? Like, was it like what was the significance of that Longines that helped it?
I don't know the particular significance of that one, but it was just vintage Longines has a really, really good support base, and there's a any community that really can define itself, and you can figure out when certain watches were produced. It really, really helps, right? And Longines is one of those communities like Zenit, like Universal Geneve, where there are a lot of people who help catalog the watches and they show you the way to collect. And Longines is one of those companies as well that has a great archive program, and they really embrace their vintage collections. So that's why they'll always do well because the support is there.
Got you. Makes sense.
Well, let's go back to Phillips since we can't get results from the Sotheby's.
Shame on them for not making this easier for
Yeah,
you.
they want me to log in. I'm trying to log in, and there's like 15 different codes, and I don't want to do all that. Sotheby's, I just want to show the people the auction results, but I did want to look at this beautiful turquoise. I wonder what this one for. Beautiful, beautiful watch.
I just feel like this is a watch you can't wear too often. And if that bag gets around the bezel, I am out. I'm so out.
Not for you.
If they didn't have the baguettes, maybe. Also, not a big fan of Roman numerals on the Daytona.
Well, I mean, at this point, you ain't really staring at the Roman numerals.
Huh?
At that point, you're not really staring at the Roman numerals, right?
You're right. The baguettes are too much of an eyesore. 100% correct.
I'd rock this watch. I don't know. I don't know if I'd take it off of that strap, but
It's too much
a
blue with the
baguette
strap.
beach.
Yeah, it's too much blue with the strap. I prefer if it was on a black strap, but just the baguettes. Like if this didn't have baguettes, I'd be all in. I'd be all in. Tachymeter bezel. Let's go. What's your opinion on Longines versus Patek vintage record keeping?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to dig a little bit deeper to like find like the big differences there, but they're both companies where pretty much anything that has ever been made, they will give you an extract of the archive and they will give you some type of inclination, right? They were both companies because they have really good longevity. They focus on record keeping and it didn't destroy the records. A lot of these companies, right, because they switch hands so many times in different businesses. Look at Zenith, right? They almost destroyed the El Primero just cause for no reason. They're for reason, but like why? No real reason. You could always put that in a museum. So throughout time, many companies have just destroyed a lot of their records. So companies like Patek Philippe, Longines, I think AP as well, they did a good job of keeping records. So they allow people to get extracts, get information, and especially if it's a special piece, they'll kind of work with you. You can get some type of information if you do the right things. And I estimate that like good jewelry houses like Bulgari and Cartier as well. There's just great scholarship out there, Cartier especially, where you can just find so much information about these brands when things were made, and just that's what you want. You know, we're gonna talk right after this about Periscope just dropped another article, and it speaks about how Rolex, their historical department, the restoration department, is helping produce Frankenstein's, and even them, they're not clear. They seem to not have the scholarship to, say when something was made and say, hey, this dial doesn't belong with this watch. So I think we're in a very strange period where the values that people are paying for certain watches, it's so high, but the the clarity from the brands themselves are not there 100%. The clarity, the knowledge base, the resources, I should say, isn't there for collectors to really understand what they're truly buying.
But in Rolex's defense, right? I think we talked about this the other day about luxury watches and all that, and it's like Rolex kind of fell into being a luxury watch. Just like I don't think that they had ever expected to be where they're at today. Unlike Patek, like you could tell from the way that Patek's watches have looked throughout time that they intended to be what they are today. Whereas Rolex, they were tool watches and they kind of fell into being the number one, the king of it all. So I don't know if I want to fault them for not keeping these detailed records in the way that Patek did. Now I say that all in the same breath that Longines has these great detailed records, and you can make the argument that their price point is far lower. But Rolex produce a million plus watches a year, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yeah, definitely
So
more.
it's a weird situation where it's like, well, can you blame them for not having the details from 40 years ago when they may not have expected to have the success that they have today?
So I think the issue with Rolex is not the record keeping part, right? That's okay. I think a lot of nobody's expecting, like you said, Rolex was they're producing commercial volumes of pieces. I think from that aspect, they give you as much as you can. We know between this period and this period, this serial range and that serial range, certain watches are made. I think the issue that people are having now, and what Periscope is talking about, is watches that are being sent in to their department that is specifically for restoring vintage pieces, that they're not catching things. And so in this article, he talks about how he reached out and said, "Hey, this doesn't seem right. Can I help you?" And they didn't, no communication was there. And maybe, listen, maybe people don't want to work with Periscope. Maybe they think Jose's doing crazy things. Not crazy things, but they don't want to be affiliated. But there has to be other people who are at his level, and you think there are people who are of his level would be working for the brand, and you just don't know. And the issue happens is like, he also talks about CPO. What's going on, Tan? Good afternoon, or good morning, or good
Good
evening,
afternoon,
wherever you
Tan.
are. But the issue that he brings up here, it then turns into Rolex CPO. So the issue with this one is this piece was sold through Sotheby's, I believe, last year. And the dial is incorrect. The Daytona stamp is incorrect for the year. Many things are incorrect. And this went through the Rolex Atelier de Restauration. I don't know why I put
Wait, did it
the
sell
C
through?
on it.
So it went through Sotheby's as well. It went through Sotheby's and Sotheby's.
Exactly. So that's the thing, right? It went through Sotheby's.
So it went through
Sotheby's is
two
gonna,
different checks that it
but
passed.
exactly. But Sotheby's is not. Sotheby's is an auctioneer. They're not a watch expert. It's such a weird thing because they
Whoa,
should.
whoa. I mean,
You
you're right.
see,
You're right that
he's-
Rolex should have
it-
caught it, but Sotheby's is putting these things up for sale. You can't get a refund. You can't get a
but
refund.
but exactly. So who's the expert? Is it the brand or is it Sotheby's? Right?
Rolex is a non-profit. I don't understand why.
You see, it becomes such a weird thing. Bonjour, Tan. I forgot you're in Paris. Bonjour. But that's the issue, right? Is like, if Rolex says, hey, it went through our Atelier de Restauration, I don't know why I keep saying it like that, but it went through the restoration house, and it's okay, and we did it, and we made it clean. Sotheby's is then gonna point to them, and then so the buyer, of course, is gonna be like, not only is it being sold by Sotheby's, but it went through the Rolex restoration. It has that Rolex restoration booklet. It has to be great. And then a year later, not even a year later, Periscope put this article out detailing that even the booklet was incorrect. And the booklet stated 1968. The watch was really produced in 1966, and a bunch of different details that it's like,
Who we gonna listen to? Some third
I don't
party,
know.
or we gonna listen to Rolex
I don't
and
know.
people who did it? I don't know, man. I think.
well,
I'm just
so-
saying.
but the thing is like, who do you listen to? The person who's done all the work, who's been almost a proven scholar to this point in watches, or the brand who didn't really keep the best record keeping, or if they did, they don't share the information, so people don't know. So it really becomes a very weird type of situation.
Ramal says, when can we admit auction houses do not care? All they care about is the 35% that they make on the hammer price. Also, Rolex isn't auctioning these pieces, so they would not care and shouldn't either.
Correct.
And it goes back to like,
Well, they should care.
they should care that
They
like
should care.
they're fakes that are going around, but it goes back to like, I don't know, man. Because like, I'm not gonna sit here and say Periscope doesn't do great work, right? But like, I don't know, bro. I'm defer to you. You're the steward of watches. Like, because from my perspective, it's just like, so what is? Are we supposed to hire Periscope? Is this him? Because like, no disrespect to him, and like, kudos to him and and all the work he does. But like all this tells me that like it's a advertisement for us to hire him to inspect every vintage watch that ever passes through the doors. But there should be a vintage expert that checks all these watches. But like, it's only him. So should we only hire him? Like, is he the only person who knows? Like, why aren't there more people talking about these things? Like, is this a problem that he's? You know how they say, well, you know what? You have to create a problem and
Well,
then create the
no. Okay.
solution.
Well, so you. Oh, I just got into the Sotheby's thing. So you're bringing up a very good point, right? Why is it only him? Why is he the only person that you could point to, who's calling out these things at auction, who's citing these mistakes that dealers have, who's showing people with thorough evidence, right, why certain watches aren't the way they should be. And that's the best question of it all, because in a way, yes, when he does these articles, he's definitely advertising his services. And in the same way that when I do content, I'm advertising my services as a watch advisor. Please visit cqthewatchguy.com for your independent watch needs. But the issue is why he looks so peculiar, because it's only him. You could point to 20 or 30 people on YouTube or Instagram, wherever, who do what I do, not in the same way, but they're in the business of selling watches, they're brokers, blah, blah, blah. But he's the only person who's like, hey, this is a sea dweller on Rolex CPO that's obviously a fake, you know? And he's the only one who's,
Vimal says the issue is that Rolex restored the piece and then the customer swapped the dial after. Is that Rolex's fault? Which is a great point. Like we don't know if after the watch gets back to the customer, what the customer's done.
well, no. So on that document, I think it would state what's on the dial. So I don't see the document as well. So I think there's two different things, right? There's like if a watch gets serviced, right, and something happens after, of course, not Rolex's fault. But if this watch left Rolex with the Daytona print on it and was sanctioned, then it becomes a very weird place, right? And it's just weird because the prices that people pay for these watches, these are not watches that people are paying 10, 20,000. A lot of these watches go for, multiples of $100,000. So that's where it becomes tricky. Is like, at what price point is Sotheby's supposed to care?
So,
Is
so
somebody supposed to be?
can I raise you something? Can I raise you something?
Sure.
Even though before I want to say, Diraj said Aura Montanari. Do you know that name? He said opinion
Yeah, go
carries
over
true
it.
weight. Is he another person like Periscope?
So he's not. He's a vintage expert. I'll pull up a picture, and
But I wanted to say, right? Do we have a Periscope for art? And what I mean by that is like, I do think that
yes.
this stuff happens day after day after day in the art world. Do we have people who are avidly looking at paintings and being like, this is why this is the, you know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, why aren't there more in watches? Are you telling me that people aren't spending the time to learn the differences? Like like, because if he didn't exist,
I think
so
it's
many of
it's
these.
better for it's better for a lot of people that there are less people like Periscope out there. There's a lot
Better
of
for who?
people,
The
for people who like
consumer?
to make profit, not for the consumer. It's horrible for the consumer, but there's enough people who make money off of um, the lack of knowledge that's out there. You know, people take advantage of people every day. Just look at this. This is a CPO watch, right? So anybody who buys this watch, Rolex CPO, would think that this watch is a fully double red sea dweller. They would not think that, hey, anything would be wrong with this watch. If they're okay with the price, they just buy the watch, right? And somebody down the chain, right? Not to say the dealer who bought this watch, but maybe the person who bought the watch, who sold it to the dealer, he got that dial stamp. Or somewhere, this was swapped out, and somebody made a great deal of profit. And what happens is you're just passing down this time bomb to this poor consumer who one day tries to sell it to somebody like you or you're retired, tries to sell it to me. When I go to get it verified, I find out it's a fake, and then it becomes this thing, and he's like, consumer gets to be like, well, I got this from CPO, and then it becomes like, who's lying, CPO or CQ the watch guy? who's not affiliated with Rolex, you know? And that's the issue, is there's so many of those situations that happen at various different price points. Why it becomes very peculiar that when somebody like Periscope says something, there's a big uproar. Of course, I think how he does it, he's doing it to get as much press as possible and really, you know, stir up his own business. But the question still remains, is why is this, you know, this double red sea dweller that's pretty obviously from what he's showing,
Well, this
not the
is,
right font,
in
you
my
know?
opinion, this is a mess up from Rolex. If it's gone through CPO and being listed as a Rolex CPO, then Rolex is to blame, in my opinion. Real quick, Vimal says CQ, this auction, this watch could have had the OG Daytona print. What folks
Correct.
do is take the original and put it on another vintage Daytona. Now you have two rare Daytonas and a fake one with legit papers. Daraj said, Art, my late dad, rest in peace, sir. Actually, a Sri Lankan art. So I'm guessing Daraj's dad used to critique
The
or
Sri Lankan artist, or
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that's awesome. So I think in the art world, there's many more, you know, there college courses in art history, and I'm
That's
sure
true.
many more things where you could become like a specialized person in art. In watches, you can become in jewelry, excuse me, you become GIA certified graduate gemologist in different levels there, so you can, you know, verify all the things with lab diamonds and different stones and all that stuff. When it comes to watches, just now there's the FHH, and you could be a watchmaker, but there is no become the authority on watches school. There's no vintage watch expert school. You know what I mean? And that is a big, big issue out there. And it really just leads you to, you know, I could see why we see vintage Rolexes not getting the numbers that they're getting. But it just, I don't know. You pose a really interesting question. Why is he the only one? And I think, you know, the answer is pretty obvious, which just leads me to tell everybody: be careful with vintage, man. Be careful if you're spending big money on a vintage watch. I don't know where's a safe place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're pulling up an article of a CPO watch that has an issue, then you really like, because the whole thing, like we started off this live 2 weeks ago talking about Rolex CPO, and like the value you get is peace of mind. But when you see something like this, you don't even get peace of mind. So Ken
I,
says CPO for any brand should be bulletproof. And
I
it's
agree.
not looking like the case for Rolex, unfortunately. And it sucks because CPO, I was literally saying the only thing you should be buying CPO is things in the vintage realm. And now you have an article like this, and it's just like, well, then what is CPO worth? I'd rather just buy something contemporary or go to Periscope or somebody who's a vintage expert and do my due diligence. Why would I ever buy CPO if this kind of stuff slips through?
I do think I don't. We can't go into too much that we know in terms of CPO, but I do think how Rolex CPO is being done, it's not a bulletproof situation. It's not a bulletproof situation.
Well, there
I
should be
think
tiers. I think that certain watches should go to certain places. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that
exactly, and I think that's the issue. Is like something like this double red should always go back to like a certain place to
go
be
to Switzerland,
CPO
go to
and verified.
some specific place that knows how to handle a vintage watch, I guess. Maybe.
Exactly, because even when I was in Dubai, I could speak about that. Like SWS, who does the Rolex service in there, something like this. If I took in my Dubai store and I sent to SWS, they would have probably sent this to Switzerland to be verified, right? Non-CPO, I'm just talking about like if I sent it for normal servicing, they most likely would have sent it there to be verified, because I've worked with them before where if they feel like a dial is messed up, they will laser that dial to make sure it's not, they'll just like laser the dial to make sure it can't be sold. If they feel like, hey, it's like not authentic, but I say, hey, I want that dial back. So I know when it gets to Switzerland, things are very, very strict. But I don't know if every CPO watch is going through the same level of scrutiny, and not everybody has that Periscope level of education, and that Periscope level of education isn't something that's being taught, you know? I don't think any type of verification is being taught to many people on like on the sales side. And even like, you know, until you become a watchmaker, nobody's really telling you things that you should look for. You know, me and Jay, we just sold so many watches that, you know, on a modern side, I could pretty much eye a fake, but still, you know, we go vintage. I have no idea what I'm looking. I couldn't tell you. Okay, you know what I mean?
So
I couldn't
Bimal
tell you
said
anything.
Rolex CPOs should be from 2001 to 2023 pieces. They shouldn't be vouching for vintage pieces. They do not have the bandwidth or the due diligence. And I disagree, Bimal.
Yes.
Well, I
Well,
disagree that you're right that they don't have the bandwidth, but it's like I don't agree that they shouldn't be like why not? Why to be honest with you, the CPO should be mainly anything that's not covered under warranty. So anything from 2020 should be CPO. And like don't do CPO if you don't have the bandwidth. I'm sorry, bro, but like I think that the CPO program is especially important to vintage pieces because who else is going to tell you that this is authentic? And the fact that they can't ring bigger issues for the brand, in my opinion. No, I think that we give them a pass when we say, oh, no, they shouldn't be dealing with vintage. Then who? If it's not the brand themselves, if they don't pride themselves on making these timepieces that last a lifetime, then who? Because we're talking about 25 years. You can't go back 25, 50 years when there's watches that have survived 100. No, no. Then why am I paying 20, $30,000 for a watch?
well, so that's the real question, right? The
Like, no,
value.
seriously, why pay that money for a vintage watch if the brand itself can't verify that it's legit? No, no.
And so that's where we are. It's like now that question is really everybody's faced with it. It's like, why am I paying for this watch? Why am I paying for a watch when we know what people in this world are doing? We know how people are being taken advantage of. We know 10, 15 years ago what these watches were going for versus what they're going for today or even 3 years ago. And the question is like, if there's no way that I can go in and verify it. If there's no way that I can, if you're telling me that I could buy a watch for 200 grand or whatever that Daytona's hammered for, and somebody can come out and put an article like this, and there is really no recourse. I can't imagine the recourse if I were the person who bought at Daytona, this article comes out. I'm gonna go fight with Sotheby's?
Well, the craziest part is that like they're not like Rolex rolled out the CPO thing, and then this article comes out, and it doesn't affect the Rolex market. And to me, that's
No,
ludicrous. It's ludicrous because it's like, so what you're telling me is that all you care about is making new watches, which is the case
pretty
for most
much.
brands. But then why did you make a CPO program? If you don't care about,
Profit.
they just want to eat. And that's why, like, this is why I don't like watches, Sequan. This is why I had to stop working where I worked in the past because I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe in watches. And then when you see something like this, and I'm supposed to sell people watches on a picture that they see that can rotate, and then you're telling me that now we're finding fakes. It's like, it makes you feel like crap. I'm sorry. Like,
No, you're right.
I'm actually upset that they could do something like this, man. Because it's like, it just takes away the value of the watch if you're telling me that you don't care about your watches once they're 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like these are the ones that matter. Like the double reds, the Paul
Yep.
Newmans. Like if you can't verify the history of your brand, what is the future? I,
Man, well said. Well said. Cause I don't know. Cause when you look at a brand like Patek, right? Of course, they're two completely different brands, but they'll service anything they ever produce. Rolex only guarantees service for watches that are 25 years old. So that means like they won't guarantee a service on a 95 sub, a 98 sub. Of course, they'll service it, but it's not guaranteed. They don't have to service it, and it's like that's really not that long ago. But that shows you the true separation between the primary market and the secondary market. And brands, as much as they love the secondary market, they love when the secondary market props them up, and they love when the secondary market helps them sell primary market watches. They could care less what happens in the secondary market. For years, the biggest complaint on Rolex is why don't you have a stolen watch database where a secondary market, primary market, or dealer, or just a regular consumer, for a fee or for free, can check serial numbers, see what watches they're coordinated with. People can register if their watch got stolen. They can register it there along with the police report. Maybe you have that as a verification step to make sure people don't do false reports there. But something as simple like that, something we know they can do because they have the service records. Okay, you can't do for every watch. We could say, hey, for the last 20 years, we have all the serial numbers. We have this program. We have a lot of information. We'll help people out. They won't do it, and it just makes sense. But it shows you they don't care. They just care about the dollars that are coming in now, and they could care less about the secondary market, which is so funny because when the auctions are doing good, when the secondary market is booming, that's when all the brands love the secondary market dealers and they love all the guys and they're doing all the content with the secondary market. But now you're gonna see the secondary market slump, and then it's gonna be like, well, let's sue the gray market guys. Let's start suing people.
But like
Let's
the
start,
reason you can't keep Nautiluses on the shelf or Daytonas on the shelf is because they sell for more than they do on on the secondary market. They go hand in hand. So for them to act like they don't is very just appalling to me. The mall says this is why I'm going to buy new from AD. I know that I'm losing out on amazing paddocks, but not worth taking the chance. Me and Pac Eldridge are on the same page because he says true that Jay. But Maul
true
also
that.
said I am seeing super perfect replicas of Paddock and VCs coming from China. How do you trust that? No, how do you trust what you have is perfect? Even secondary dealers can't vouch for the authenticity anymore.
Well, first of all, you shouldn't deal with any secondary dealer who's not willing to put a lifetime guarantee on the authenticity on the product. Things do happen and stuff has slipped through, and I've seen like amazing 5711s that got by on me. But of course, if, I didn't sell that watch. We bought that watch, and then we figured it out and whatever. But any
I've
good,
seen our company take a return if something didn't
exactly,
like any real company will take that watch back.
Exactly. It's a lot of these like newer dealers, and I know I'm kind of a newer dealer, but it's a lot of these newer backpack dealers who do kind of this like no return policy. Don't call me if something goes wrong. And yeah, there are some great super clones coming out from the Asian markets and all over. Even Europe is got some crazy stuff coming out there. I don't worry too much about the replica stuff, especially when you're talking like VC, Paddock, like high end things like that. They will never make it that perfect. They will never spend the time to really get it. Maybe like overseas or something will get close, but there'll always be some
It's
type
more
of
like the steel subs and stuff, right? Like you say
exactly.
that they just the things that you're making on the non-precious metals, the things that like not to say Rolex isn't perfect, but like I think it's harder to replicate Paddocks and like
Well, a Rolex is going to be a closed case back. You know what I mean? It's very versus like a VC that's going to be like open case back. So
and
like you
that
gotta get the
movement is a
rubies.
dead giveaway. Like that's the biggest thing. You look at a movement, most of the times you can get a quick, especially on a VC and a Paddock. The finishing on a Paddock's movement, it's like you should be able to tell very fast from being looking at the movement.
Exactly. So most people who are paying for that quality of a counterfeit, they're wearing them. They're not trying to sell them. They're trying to just fit in, you know. So I don't worry too much about that because the people who will pay for those high quality fakes usually won't sell them on the market. Like 'cause they'll get found out. But yeah, it's on the vintage side, it happens every day. Cause who's gonna? There's no way to check. So that's the real issue. So I got Sotheby's with prices finally. So let's see if there's anything interesting here. Patek Philippe, Tiffany and Co. Pocket watch mini repeater for $209,000. That's a strong one. Nothing too crazy. Vintage Patek is strong. So this is the reference 130 that we were talking about. This one for 152,000. Ooh, 533 on a Tasti Tondi. Vintage Patek still getting some good action.
What does Tasty Stodley stand for? Like, what's the?
I think this particular style got that nickname for a person or place.
I'm with you, Tan. I thought that Chopard looks very nice as well.
Let's see. Ooh, lot 14. Ooh, open face pocket watch. Wow.
And you know, this reminds me of those unlimited zoom paintings. Like it feels like you could just keep on going further and further
Yeah,
into it, and you keep seeing more and more things. Cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
I
I'd
love the
love to see it working. I'd like to see the gears moving in that. But Jesus, the hand finishing, it's very gaudy.
yeah in person. This is probably cool. The Tassie Tandy has a round of pushers. It's on for one hundred and
Ah,
thirty nine
thank
thousand
you,
seven hundred,
Daraj. Thank you, thank you.
and this is a fairly modern watch too for 1990.
Oh wow, it's as old as
O'clock.
I am. It
It's
looks just like
beautiful.
me too, skeletonized. Jesus.
So they had a lot of good vintage
Oh,
Pateks.
look at the
Ooh.
hooplo. Don't skip the hooplo.
Wait, we gotta talk about the Pateks before we get to the Hoover. So we got
Oh, Vimal didn't say anything yet.
uh get him excited. A 2524/1 retail by Gublin minute repeater 1.6 million US dollars.
Do you just know it's a minute repeater when it has that like cowlick?
Yeah, the little my little thing on the slide.
Is that what we're gonna call it? We're gonna call it the
Yeah,
slide.
it is a slide. It's a slide. Then we have a nice 2499 second series that is stamped Gobi Milano, $4.2 million. So actually, Sotheby's had some really good
What?
results.
Why?
It's a double stamped
Hmm.
2499. 2499 is one of the most sought after perpetual calendar chronos you can find. So to find one that's double stamped, I'm sure Gobi Milano was a big
Uh,
retailer,
gotcha.
Italian date wheel as well. So very rare amongst rare. And as you can see, the quality is pretty good. Like very good quality there. And the one thing you never see Periscope talking too much about Paddocks, man. I'm sure maybe he has, but you just seen vintage Paddock. You seen vintage Daytona kind of waffle a little bit, and you seen vintage Paddock staying very, very strong. Everything going well above the low end of the estimate. Maybe not touching the high side, but even the Patagoni going for 736,000 all in. Ooh, I would rock this. I would rock this. 3979 HP Platinum Mini Repeater for the 150th anniversary of Patek Philippe. This is like very like under the radar, stealthy. Nobody knows. I wish they could have put a fresh shop. Because this is the one thing with auction houses. Sometimes I'm like, listen, pay the fire. We're gonna sell this for well over, well over $200,000-300,000. Let's put a fresh. It doesn't gotta be a Paddock shop. I know we got a Sotheby's white label shop. Let's just put it on it. But look at this. It's showing the cracking. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know sometimes. And then we have a beautiful just for Vimal. Vimal said he's over that Patek. Uh, wait, I can't hear. We can't hear you, Jay.
Oh, sorry. I was saying Vimal is on my I think Vimal was talking about the paddock for 4 million, and he said I would buy RM Ferrari Miami Beach front 3 bedroom Costco Durex and rest in the bank. Yeah, I would be the same because $4 million on a paddock. I'm living on Miami for sure. For sure. Brigade numerals are expensive on a paddock.
Correct. Isn't
Touche.
that funny? But they just look so good though. Like all these watches look great, right? If these had brigade numerals, you can add at least like 10 to 15% on the prices. It's insane.
I
Just like a
think everything
Tassitani.
you said was subjective.
No, people pay for the brigade numerals. Tan knows. Tan knows.
I was talking about them all looking great, but yes.
This looks great. A beautiful Hublot Classic Fusion Berluti Scrito. So this person actually got a good deal because this is a rose gold watch. It is Berluti leather. 11,430 all in. I just did that for you, Ma. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right.
Diraj said a magnificent small case though, so it restricts sound. I guess we're talking about the minute repeater. Repeater.
Yep.
What's going on, Skylar Santana? Thank you for
What's
stopping by, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. Vimal said that is a crazy deal on the Hublot. Will you buy, Vimal? Can you purchase? I mean, they'll probably take $1,000 more and sell it to you.
listen at this price though? Like for real, like all jokes aside, like it's a rose gold chrono. Like if you're somebody who likes a Berluti, if you like that type of leather, and you're a Berluti fan, and you have the shoes, you have the briefcase, it comes in a really nice box with the leather bomb as well. Don't
You
ask why I know
always
that.
know it's when you gotta mention the box in the
Listen,
sale, you know that
listen.
this is just not gonna end well.
Oh no, I don't buy this. They don't have the original box. This is fraudulent.
You're
This is
just as
fraudulent.
bad as you're such a turbo because it
Oh
doesn't
no,
have the
I
box.
done. No, this is a bad deal. Cause no, the box is a nice box. It's a nice leather Berluti box,
You're gonna
and it
lose the
has
box, Sequan. I know you, bro. You lose.
no.
Okay.
Listen, for
Tan
that
said
particular
having a
box, I
Bertulli
like the deal.
shoe on your wrist is I don't know. Come on, man. They can do more than shoes, man. Don't pigeonhole.
They do a nice briefcase as well. Talking about tourbillons at 6. Here we have two tourbillons at 9 o'clock. What are your feelings? I'm gonna talk about this regulator
Way better than
first.
12, dude. 12 is just an eyesore. And like I'm I think that the blue dial is better because I don't like the three sub dial. I think that that is
So it's
just
a regulator, and I love this. Except I
not
don't like
three
the
sub dial.
Romans at top. I love
Oh no, this is
regulators.
a terrible watch. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't you dare say that. You
I said
take
it.
it
It's
back.
too late. I can't. It's
You
on live.
take it back, sir.
It's on
You
live.
take it back,
It's
sir.
got one hand, so it's already a cripple.
It's
Um,
three hands.
no,
Three
no, I
hands.
have one big hand. I ain't trying to look at no sub dial to figure out what hour it is. And then it got the tourbillon at 6. And then I got to look at that. No, no, I don't like this watch. No, and then what is it? It's $150,000. I got to sell a
Well,
kidney.
the retail was, but somebody picked this up all in for 21,590. I would have bought this watch. I
Oh,
don't
okay,
like the
never
Roman
mind. I changed
numerals.
my tune. I
No,
changed my tune.
retail, of course not. Retail, we can't really talk about it. But
Tourbillon for
I'm
$21,000.
telling you, that's a great deal.
I think that speaks volumes as to how ugly that watch
Yo,
is.
Tan is hilarious.
I, Dan is right.
Tan.
Look, even Vimal said it, bro. It's not a pretty watch. The watch is not an attractive looking watch.
So Tan said, it is not easy to make an ugly turb, but this is a performance. Oh, man.
I'm just
Are you
not a
not a fan
jumping
of
hour
jumping out?
fan, man. No, I mean, look, I don't mind. I'm just saying that like everything there just was too much for me, man. Now the blue dial, this is
This
nice.
is nice.
This is nice. I just my whole thing was like you put the hours in the sub dial, and then now you get this one big hand. This is nice. This is classic.
But all the time, keeping elements are separated. It's like you said from when you do the trains or making it the round. All right, I can't.
Leave that to FP Jorn or like Paddock. Like I've seen some nice Paddock regulators. That was just not a good design for a regulator for me. And like if you're sitting here telling me that you actually like that watch,
The only thing I do not like about that watch is the Roman numerals at the top.
come
If they
on,
had
bro. How you giving watch
the-
advice and you gonna
come
sit here and say you
on,
like
come on.
this?
What's wrong? Listen, first of all, now you guys are gonna make me defend this watch.
Is it rose gold?
It is pink gold, so it is
Okay.
rose gold.
Okay, that's
Came out in 2009. Let's see if it has the box first. Full set, with a yellow warranty card. I've never seen that. This is a handsome watch. I changed the strap. Listen, at 20, remember, we're paying under, even if I do New York sales tax, I'm under 24,000, right? So let's start there. I'm under $24,000. I got a tourbillon. It's pink gold. How big is it? It's 43. I'm a big risk guy, so I like that as well. And listen, I got a nice big old turb over there, 9 o'clock. Is that like a little frame on it? Okay. A big old turb. I got my 60-second sub dial. And come on, this is a nice watch. This is not the most gorgeous Belle at the ball, but she's going home with me. And she's beautiful to me. She's beautiful to meet.
I'm gonna trademark this. Watch buying 101. Will this watch get me or will it get me into Red Bar? Always buy watches that it is a yes on the getting laid part. This watch is not. It is not. Maybe hey,
You
maybe you'll get some of the bros at the watch function to ask you some questions. You
for
might
sure.
be a star at the watch meetup. But none of the ladies are gonna give a damn that you're wearing a regulator tourbillon for 21K Sequan. But thank God you're married, so it doesn't matter.
That-
Pink gold
it's
always
true.
works with blue. Even Panerai did a good one with this combo. And I'm with you. The blue dial,
I agree there.
very nice. And blue and rose with pink. Very nice. I'm with you on that. Definitely.
So this is interesting. We got some Panoramas and Blancpains here that all did really good numbers. Why did this was? Who are these owned by? What is the story that I'm missing here? Rose Gold 50 Fathoms, 2008. We've sold these before, Jay. But 43-1 all in. Why? Why did they pay up? What am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
Because they paid up for this. Then they paid up for this vintage one a little bit, middle of estimate. And this is to be understandable. It seems to be a good condition in Inca Block.
Maybe they're trying to set the new floor. No, I couldn't tell you.
Maybe.
Unless it's somebody famous who owned these, I don't see why they would sell for that high. Tan said, I
Oh, a
have this one.
Bova.
I can sell it for less. Hey, Tan is willing to sell his for less. Both
Yeah,
was
and
all
some.
right.
So this is a Bulova 50 Fathoms. Ooh, military prototype, 120,650. This is cool. How big is this? 41. Oh wow. OG.
Oh, chubby, but not the worst watch.
And we got a Datejust with a UAE Armed Forces dial. Wait, let me just go back to the.
I never understood like no. I mean, that's a decent price for it. It's not like it's sold for crazy money, but the whole UAE and Emirates dials are just like okay, they're still just date us.
Yeah, so I understand it if you're from there, if you appreciate the culture. I think where a lot of people get a little disturbed, and the friends here who follow OC know OC hates the Conjar dials. I think the issue is the value got tied into it, and people who are buying certain watches are buying it not because they resonate with what's on the dial, but just because it's a rare watch. And I think
Mm,
that can become a little bit like,
yeah,
you know, weird.
pretentious. The 50 Fathoms Rose Gold date is the one that Tan has. Just to clarify, he's
Yeah.
got that rose.
So I might have to circle back later and dig why.
Why
I
that
feel
went for
like
over? Yeah, interesting.
yeah, but like even the Panoramas, they're pretty decent there. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe they love them. They had some good vintage pieces in here. Nice little Pepsi. See a Conjar Pepsi. Oh, these are all Conjars. A Conjar GMT went for 17,780. Conjar 16,710. Pepsi went for 28 all in. Root Bear Tiffany and Co. Would you rock this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't
Maple
think that's
Doll,
a
nice.
what. That's a loaded question. Yes, of course I'd rock a GMT
Would
root
you pay
beer.
30,005?
No, no, not for a vintage watch. No, not especially Jubilee. I hate those bracelets. I get that it fits for this watch, especially the nipple dial, but I don't like Jubilee bracelets on sports watches.
Is this too tropical?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that the dial is just that off colored. I get that that's part of the charm, but not charming to me.
Tan says 20 years ago the Conjar was nothing. Yeah, when I was out in the Middle East and you talk to people about those dials, they were like, I know many people who just collected them for fun, and they were so cheap you could just collect UAE Conjar, all those dials. I think there's a certain point where we go past tropical into just like is not good. I think if this was a straight purple with just the brown in the center, but this little area there by 9 o'clock, and then this by the date kills
It's
it for
it's
me.
funny for to me that like the imperfections of what make these watches so expensive. Like we've gone down the rabbit hole of like, well, they made these things so long ago that the patina has made this what it's worth. It's just like, oh God. When people call and like, well, the hands don't match the indices. And it's like, well, it's
Oh,
50 years old, sir. It went to service. What did you want them to do?
people don't people don't understand it. Tan said it even devalued the watches. Yep, stamp dials. People used to destroy Day-Days for gold. Let's just say that. Here's a beautiful Royal Oak 25820 Platinum from 1990, sold for 304,000 all in. How big is this? Oh, 39 millimeters.
I was gonna say this has to be on the smaller side. I like it.
Yeah.
Not for 300 grand, but I like it.
I mean, platinum, mother pearl.
I mean, yes, it's not ceramic, so
Oh, but no box, no papers. I don't know.
ask Periscope to take a look.
No, I don't know. Nah, this looks pretty clean.
I don't know, man. But you see the way that the moon is facing Mars.
Oh man, ooh, a OG Rolex Milgauss. This is the watch I thought that Rolex was gonna bring back when they teased it, like 3 or 4 years ago.
And then they
I
gave us
think,
the land dwellers.
yeah, you know. But like, if they made if they made a Milgauss with a rotating bezel, I think it would be fire.
I don't think so. I think that
No,
would
okay.
cause it would cause well, sorry, it more so would cause confusion between the Submariner. I think people would just be like, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't have any other, correct me if I'm wrong, rotating unidirectional rotating bezel in their models, right? So then
Correct.
what's the reason for having a Milgauss with a rotating bezel?
Just to bring this back, they won't. They won't. It's a thought. It's a
No,
thought.
no, I mean like I get it, but then it goes back to like, well, Rolex doesn't really do things logically, so you're right. They probably will do this next year.
Just to tease me. See, I feel like all of these lots, I gotta call Periscope. I don't even know. I don't even know. It looks good to me.
You see the way that the lightning it zigzags left to right. The original was right to left, and so that's how you should know. Let me stop.
Gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh, that
Oh,
big
now
world.
this is a tropical I would have bought. This looks good.
It is a better, like it looks more sound. Like the tropicalness of it seems to come together more than the other watch, because the other watch it felt blotchy kind of, whereas this one it almost has a sunburst feel to the patina. The
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'd rock that. I'd pay for that. And another vintage.
See, the problem is like when you start looking at vintage Daytonas, your eyes start to glaze over because it's really so similar.
Yeah, yeah, very. So that's the thing, is like people are paying up for like provenance and a lot of different things, but it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Ooh, that turquoise, the Baguette Beach went for 330,000.
What was the projected on that?
200,000 to 400,000 was the estimate there. Wow, was that? Ooh, dated Baguette Sapphire bezel 38 one all in. And look at this. Aquanaut full baguettes.
Even the lugs?
Even the lugs. Even the case sides.
Uh, I'm out. I'm out on that. The
Not for
lugs for one thing.
228,000.
Mm, case side's just too much. Just took it a step too far for me.
Anniversary 5976, 317.5. We're seeing a lot of these float up in recent auctions, I feel like. And this
Um,
sweet thing, 5711P platinum sapphire baguette bezel and some baguettes on the dial.
I like it just because you don't see something this often. You know, I don't like diamond bezels, but this
Yeah,
one kind of is different.
This one rocks. I do the ruby personally, but if you gave me this, I would not say no.
Yeah.
And another Tiffany Aquanaut 95. A lot of Tiffany pieces not selling for crazy numbers.
Yeah, because it's just a stupid stamp. Thank God the market's coming back to to reality on this.
That it is for sure. 5712 Tiffany
Jesus.
177.8.
So many Nautiluses in like one row. That's like Nautilus, Aquanaut. But no, is all these all Nautiluses here? It's like
Yeah,
six
this is like
rows
the
of
modern section. Yeah, it's Nautilus, then it's all
no.
Aquanaut. 5167 R Tiffany at
And
120,000.
then Nautilus,
57
Nautilus.
3800 White Dial 57,000.
Good bad Terry's and only son.
Right? Oh man.
Sequan, don't kill me, but I might have to run in like five.
No, we're gonna
I
wrap
know
up
you got used
soon.
to the marathon. You got these guys
Oh
trained for
man,
like the
for
four
like a
hour
5 hour,
streams. Yeah, dude.
like just getting wound up. No, I do have to do some work because this weekend all I did was content, and then yesterday content, and then yeah. So we definitely gonna do some work on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's just go through the rest of these, and then we'll wrap up. Some good actions from APs of Restivo, going for 63.5. Rose gold, black dial, and I do think we're seeing some strength in neo vintage APs, and I'm pushing my clients that way. I don't know. I just think there are a lot of unique pieces you can find that you can get decent values at, and like when they go to auction, again, people are appreciating them versus the modern stuff. I feel like. All right, let's just go down. There's one piece. Aha, here it is. Oh wow. There's two pieces that I talked about with Todd Searle. So this is a VC Mercator America. So me and you've been watching a lot of Mercators going. So the America one, 152,400, which I think is a little bit higher than the one that was the Japanese one we saw go for. These always just do very well on the market. And then this beautiful VC perpetual calendar done for Madison and 64th. Boutique. It's stainless steel with a beautiful blue dial with red accents. 40,640. I think this was a steal. I
It's
think this was a
nice.
steal.
Is that a
You,
darker blue than they typically do?
yeah, it's a full set as well. Look at that full set. It's a little bit like a darker shade of blue or a little bit off blue. I thought it was very unique,
Yeah.
and just for 40,000, I think that was a really good deal. So let's scroll down to the end where we got some Jorns, a lot of APs. One Pablo Montoya, 44,450. The big boy pieces do not get the love. A Jay-Z. Oh, wow. Jay-Z Royal Oak with the iPod. With the Jay-Z iPod. 40,640. 15202 ST. 57,150. Not getting the love. 15202 ST. 03 dial. Newer variation. Or older variation. 48,260. Wow, Royal Oak Turb Chrono 57,150. No love there. Interesting results.
I feel like people aren't wearing large watches anymore, so AP is going to suffer. Well, not that they're not wearing large watches anymore, but there is a recon a renaissance of the middle-sized, not overly
It's a
gaudy
war,
watches.
Jay. It's a war against those of us with big wrists. Let's just call it what it is. Wow, Brigade from 1969, Empire 107,950. Let's just quickly look at this before we get out of here. This looks nice from 69. Wow, Important Brigade still getting the love,
And
still
said
getting the love
nice
they
Frank
deserve.
Mueller. I don't know if I saw I don't know if I saw the Frank Mueller that you
Yeah, so we got
drove
two.
by.
We got a minute repeater Tourbillon 35,560. Oof, beautiful piece. I dare call this a steal. And I think this is a big boy size too. Yep, 45 by 32 millimeter. Tourbillon minute repeater for 35,560. Would you wear that? I'd wear that.
Not a fan of turn-on watches that aren't Richard Mille.
No, oof, all right. Rich RM Purist. I couldn't tempt you with this one. This Tourbillon at 30,480.
I don't
This
like
was
the
also a
white
beautiful one.
gold. Is that white gold? I prefer
I'm
the
pretty
yellow
sure.
gold.
Platinum.
Even less so.
All right, let us wind it on down. Ulysse Nardin pieces that used to be expensive are now cheap. 48,260.
When were they expensive at retail?
Yeah, at retail, this is probably Tourbillon with all that was probably 200 to 300,000. I'd say at least
Yo,
two hundred
their
thousand.
erotic pieces be wild, dog.
Man, this is Bang Pong.
Like that.
I like. I'm not
Oh
trying to get
wow, it's not
straight.
even UN. It's like Blancpain
Nah.
was like, yo, bro, let's see how wild we can get. We freaky out here, yo. Jeez.
5205 for 44 450. Good price. 960p 48 too. This minute repeat, I thought it'd be higher. 5531 World Time Rare Handcrafts minute repeater 787,000. Good result. I thought it'd go a little bit closer to a million there.
700.
At 5070p, still getting a lot of love. 127,000. All right, let's go down. And before Jay has to go, beautiful cabaret from Along and Zone. Diamonds everywhere. Down the bracelet, 101,600. I thought that was a really cool piece. I would wear it.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then to wrap us off, we got Fusion Resonance, Platinum, Gold Movement for 254,000. Not crazy. Rose Optimum, Rose Optimum, 228,000. Fair price. The RMs hammered below the estimate again. 228 all in for RM29.
Why did you
Mons
skip the
Classic.
Grupo Forze? Why didn't you talk about the Grupo Forze and what it hammered
Hey,
at?
because listen, the Grupo Force hammered above their estimate. All Grupo Forces have been
Oh, a
hammered above their
3,000
estimates.
premium. Oh my God. They
On
went
a
to
high
3,000.
estimate, but
Over
they've been beaten.
3,000.
Hey, they're performing better than Richard Mille. They're performing better than RM right
Hey,
now.
let's see them do it 2 auctions in a row.
You know, like look at this, Bubba Watson.
Tan said that Blancpain goes deeper than the 50 fathoms, and he probably wasn't lying.
Oh, I like Tan. Tan's funny. That's good. Oh man, all right. So our last piece we'll talk about is this Bubba Watson RM55 Asia exclusive, and like I love this watch. Like I'd have paid up for this watch, and to see this, it barely hit the low end of the estimate at Hammer Time.
How big is this watch?
50 by 42. It's big. It's the bigger, not one of the
Well,
bigger,
that's
but
why. One, like it's an Asian exclusive, and it's that big. No disrespect, but Asia likes smaller watches, so it already kind of didn't match
but,
its
but
market.
but usually RMs travel well. Like people from different markets buy.
But
I don't
but
think
there
they
are
care.
smaller RMs. So I just don't see why they decided to make an Asian exclusive that's bigger than most of their
Well,
watches. I
because
know the
Jay,
Bubba
Jay,
Watsons are
well,
big. I know that they run large. I'm just saying that like don't make an
but
Asian exclusive that doesn't fit like the
well, because
typical
it
market.
wasn't really about it being for Asia. It was just about putting random colors on a Bubba Watson and just saying it's for a random boutique and so on. It really like all the traditional things that we're thinking about. But you're right, there are like the 67 and things like that are thinner, but they just needed a reason to sell this watch, so they just put white TPT or ceramic
You don't even see what
ceramic
makes
there.
this Asia. Like
That's what I'm saying. There's no.
Arm Watches was in the middle of a massive police case in Singapore. That probably scared people off. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess there's some
Oh
weird
wow.
thing going on in Singapore with Richard Mille. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'm gonna look into that. I'm very interested. But RM is tricky, man. Because a lot of people who are holding RM are holding them as a form of cryptocurrency, and they're
Wait,
holding
wait,
them
why are
as
you doing that, bro?
not. I didn't mean to say crypto, but as a they're holding them as a store of value. Let's say that. I didn't mean to come after
Yeah.
cryptocurrency for no reason.
FP Jordan is Bitcoin. Everything else follows the pack. Okay, let's just be honest here.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see, guys. Anyways, guys, we got to run. Thank you so much for tuning in. A nice hour and 20-minute episode, which is light compared to the 4-hour episodes we've been pulling. But you guys are amazing. I'm CQ the Watch Guy. That's retired guy Jay. Remember, though, before we leave, if you need truly independent let me pull it up. Independent watch advice, and make sure you check out cqthewatchguy.com where you can find all my services. We didn't talk about that Bulgari. We'll do it tomorrow.
It's funny that you were like doing your pitch with Bulgaria in the background. It's like that doesn't
Exactly.
look like Sequan with
Nah.
the cougar wink.
Exactly. There you and there's CQ the Watch Guy with the beautiful cougar wing. Thank you, Tan. Thank you, Diraj. Thank you, Vimal. Thank you, everybody who tuned in, everybody who follow. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, upvote, and we'll be back tomorrow with a Wednesday episode. If there is a particular topic or anything like that you want us to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comments, and I read them, and then we will talk about it tomorrow. Have a great evening, everyone. Stay
Peace
well.
out.
Talk soon.
See you tomorrow.